to Global Domination. My name is Lisa Marie Wand. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Stephanie Gilezan. And we've spent, yes, you are amazing, Stephanie. I've spent the last 2 decades building and scaling our real estate businesses. And you know what? Most real estate agents focus on their immediate neighborhood, their city, or their region. And we say, why think small when you can grow your business to a whole new level? eXp offers opportunities for you to take your local business to a national or a global scale. So welcome to our show. And Stephanie, you're going to introduce our fabulous guest today.
I am so excited about this guest. Haleigh is a rock star. If you're not following her on social media because she's mastered it, you need to, because what she's done has absolutely worked, and we're going to dive into that. But today, from Louisville, Kentucky, Haleigh Booth. You came as a team member on somebody else's team, and now you, in a very short period, became an icon agent. So we're going to tell everybody out there watching how you did it and that it absolutely can be done. Welcome.
Yes, absolutely. I love to share anything with anybody to help. That's why I love eXp so much, because it's so collaborative. And so to help any other agent that I can succeed and do what I did. I mean, I didn't do anything special, like I just put in the work, and I love to share with everybody. So.
Well, I love that. And because, you started in the business, not sure, are you ever going to get to that icon? And you did it quick. I mean, it was like not even 13 months, I think.
Yeah.
And you were already at icon. First off, I want you to tell everyone what icon means.
So, icon for me, hitting my production goals, obviously. There's a couple of different ways you can hit icon, but meeting those production goals. And for me, it just like really puts in perspective, like how hard work can just pay off. You know what I mean? And getting that stock back, is something that not everybody has the advantage to do in any other brokerage, So it's like having the ability to have other sources of income, not just from selling houses, for meeting my production goals, is pretty amazing.
I want to go into that a little bit deeper, just for those that may, not be with eXp and aren't aware of what that actually means. But, at eXp, when you're your individual agent, we're on an 80-20 split, and then we have a cap of 16,000. So once our 20% pays in the 16,000, then we're 100%. But people like Haleigh, people like me, people like Lisa Marie Wand, we are icon agents, which means eXp gives us our entire $16,000 cap back in stock. Ownership of this multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company that has absolutely no debt. And so that, in a nutshell, eXp pays us to be with eXp.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. It is.
And their stock is going up. If you want.
It keeps going. It keeps going up, so it keeps being worth more and more and more and more. So that's amazing. That is so awesome.
Oh my gosh!
Haleigh, let's talk about that. You left a previous company, which meant you left the team and you became your own individualized agent. So what did you do to get to that production level in such a short period of time?
Well, first of all, leaving a team and going to a solo agent, I mean, I was already terrified. Not to mention, it's just that sense of security of having, maybe some leads coming in or some things paid for you. But I knew that I wanted to be bigger and, I guess advertising my own name, because, eXp lets you advertise yourself and your business. And so that was very intriguing to me that I could do that on my own. So as much as I was scared, I jumped in and I did it. And, I talk about the group that we have, the mastermind group, and that I owe a ton to. I mean, if you were a newer agent, especially, even though I wasn't a brand new agent, I was a brand new solo agent. So I needed to know what I needed to do for myself to grow my business on my own. And so having that mastermind group that we do every single Tuesday, we meet agents all over and we all collaborate and we talk about what's working, what's not working. And I never missed a Tuesday. And they say how important that is. And just sharing, like, you don't when you're at other brokerages, like you don't always get agents who are willing to share their secrets and what they're doing. And so being able to hear from an agent in California or Texas or wherever say, this is what I did to sell a house, you know, or sell this many houses, do whatever it took, was amazing to me. So again, that helped with my production and me where I needed to be, because I took everything I could from those other agents and their help and really took it and ran with it. Another thing also is obviously the social media aspect. I started doing the TikToks. I started doing all of that. It has been very helpful keeping me top of mind with my past clients and sphere. So.
And I was watching some of your TikTok videos that you do with your kids, your family, your daughter. Like, she's hilarious. So talk about, did you make that on purpose decision to involve your family and just the kind of the fun and hilarity of being a mom, you know, into your social media?
Well, at first, I really utilized the kids. Like, I started doing a lot of Facebook Live videos, and that's another thing that helped with my production. I was like, I have to get in front of people. Everybody knows like 5 agents, and so I have to stand out. So at first, I was doing Facebook Live videos, and I was having them do house tours with me, which was really fun because people could see, like, I wasn't just walking around being like, here's the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, I had the kids lead the way. And people loved that. You know what I mean? Like, Harper showing off everything. Braxton was helping. It was great. So that's kind of how that started. But then when I did the TikToks, that was completely supposed to be unrelated. Like, I was just doing, it was 2020, like everything was shut down. And I was like, I'm just going to have fun and do this. Like, not even thinking. I was like, I could do some real estate content and add it in there. But my main thing was just like, I'm going to get comfortable on video, which I tell agents all the time, because people always ask me how I got so comfortable on video. Well, I started making TikToks where I knew nobody knew me. So it got me really comfortable on video and like just being able to learn to talk fluent and like with, you know, no fear. So incorporating my kids and family later on, I noticed had a big reaction. And another thing too, I like to tell people is like staying relatable with other people. It will take you so much farther than just trying to be straight business all the time. Of course, you want to be the expert, you know what I mean? When that time comes. But at the same time, I've had so many clients that reach out to me because they saw my videos and they thought they were funny, you know, and that's like a conversation starter. And then they're like, well, by the way, we are looking to sell this, you know, this year. So, it wasn't the plan to incorporate them, but I'm glad that I did because people can really relate with it and they feel like they know me. And so I love that aspect of just being relatable, you know, like the relatable agent that people know.
And that's, you know, that's the power of authenticity, is when you're just real and raw on camera and bringing your family in and all the funny and difficult stuff that happens when you have kids and you're a working mom. That instantly you get that know, like, trust factor from people, even though they don't know you. It's like our guest we had on our CRE Power Hour a couple weeks ago. Remember Eddie Gonzalez, Stephanie? He does commercial real estate conversations from the bathtub full of bubbles. So you know, it's just about finding that thing that you can have fun with and you can be super relatable, because our business is based on relationships, and that comes from authenticity. That's very powerful. So good job.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, Haleigh, I was down in Gatlinburg with a big group of us, just the first part of this week. We got back yesterday.
I know, I wanted to go so bad.
It was awesome. And you know what was so amazing is that, you know, there's a bunch of us. I mean, there was 150 plus of us. And it was so funny. They were like, oh, that Haleigh booth and that Harper. And these are people like, so think about this. This was a whole room of real estate agents, you know, at eXp, but they feel like they know you and Harper just as much as anybody that meets you in person. So imagine how many thousands of people are out there watching that feel the exact same way. And that's exactly why, because you're making those personal connections. So it's been stellar. Awesome to watch it.
I remember when I started doing Facebook Lives years ago, I was so nervous.
I was too.
And back then, when I first started doing them, they went live automatically. Do you remember that? It was like there was no it
There
was
was
just
no like get ready to start.
like ready, set, go. And you're like, am I on? Is this thing working?
Yeah.
And then now, Stephanie and I are in front of the camera so much. It's like, I don't even like, it is what it is.
Right?
And
It is
like
what
you
it
get
is.
so comfortable with it. And that was my thing. It's like I could not press that start button. You know what I mean? Like I could not press the start button. And I was like, I would sit there in front of a listing that I was showing and I would just sit there and not do it. And I'm like, why? Like, and I got so comfortable with it. Like you said, you just kind of get used to it. And that's what I mean. I had another agent pretty much tell me to just get over myself and stop. You pick out your flaws more than other people do. And it's well worth it to get in front of the camera and get in front of people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you. I remember one day I was shooting a video in front of a commercial property in downtown Reno, and a group of people came behind me and they did the photo bomb thing. There was like 4 of them. And I'm like, for a second, I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And then I'm like, oh, you just keep going, right?
Yeah.
If you
It
just
probably got more likes than anything else.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you're worried about messing up or what you're gonna say, like people want that anyways. They don't want you sitting there talking about facts and stats the whole time without telling a story or like, that's not gonna keep people's interest. So I mean, I just feel like it gets easier once you really just start not caring so much.
Well, and some of the content you see out on social media, it doesn't really have any meaning at all. It's just someone doing, taking a little snippet of their day and being courageous enough to put it out there, and people are going to watch it. Like,
Haleigh, in all that, with the TikTok and the Instagram and, Facebook, everything that you're utilizing, what's the one or whatever reel or whatever, what's gotten the most attention?
So, I mean, I would say definitely my TikTok videos, they have the most views, and they get the most engagement. I do have all of my socials kind of connected. So I do like a lot of the reels. I do the same thing and just repurpose that content. And then I'll have like my Instagram connected to my TikTok that says, I'm a top agent in Kentucky. So it's like people wonder that all the time. They're like, well, if you don't do a lot of real estate content, do you really get business? And I'm like, yeah, because I link everything. You know what I mean? They're going to go check out my other social channels. But I also tell people to do Facebook Reels because a lot of people don't realize that Facebook Reels is different from Instagram Reels. And I have built, I don't even know, I think I have like 234,000 followers on Facebook, which I can't even just from posting reels. Yeah. So it's like, and I get I do a lot of my business posts on my business Facebook page or my personal page and kind of intertwine them. So even though my TikTok gets more engagement and more views, I would say that's probably my, the most that I get, but I have everything connected.
Okay. How often is somebody seeing you? Because we asked our guest on the Tub Talk, the commercial agent, Tub Talk commercial agent. I was like, okay, how old are these clients or these people reaching out to you? And he had just picked up a massive commercial deal from a 72-year-old doctor that found him on TikTok. And I'm like, what? Because, my daughter keeps saying, I've got a 14-year-old and she's like, I'm going to run your TikTok. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I'm one of those people where I'm nervous. I'm fearful of it. But now I'm like hearing from Eddie, seeing what you've done. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing out on something here. I need to start incorporating this. But do you ask people that? Do they tell you, I saw you on TikTok?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I get, messages from people all the time or be like, I saw it. And then we get recognized in public from people. It's so funny. I'm like, oh gosh. I'm like, I forget. And then half the time and they'll come up to me or they'll like have their phone out and whispering. I'm like, oh my gosh, what video did you see?
So let's get real good or real dive deep into this. What is because in Kentucky, we're in Louisville, Kentucky, average house price here is about 240, I think 240,000, something like that. So what kind of business are you doing from doing all this social media? Because that's what I want you to tell. I mean, it's
Oh, and
stellar.
I mean, I do business pretty much from all over the spectrum. So like a lot of my business that I get, and people will ask me like, what do I think, how much business actually comes from social media? But I don't know for sure, because I would really say mostly all of it, because it helps me stay top of mind, So I mean, I just listed a couple of, $500,000 properties. I also am working with buyers in the 160 range. You know what I mean? So I'm all over the spectrum. And, as far as getting business from it, I hardly ever get a random person messaging me saying, hey, I want to buy a house. I do sometimes, but the majority of my business is my, sphere or past clients sending my videos to other people. They're getting to know me. They want to work with me just from seeing like my page and my content. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So what about your clients that aren't on social media? Because there's people of all ages that have just decided, I'm not doing it. So is there something besides, it could be somebody who's 20, or it could be someone who's 72. And that guy was just a stalker. Remember on TikTok, his page had no activity. That guy, he would just scroll TikTok like people do that with Facebook and Instagram too. They never post anything, but they're the watchers.
Oh, so
what do you do with people, or in addition to social media, as far as
yeah, I mean, so that's the thing. Like, I try to stay individually. I try to contact my sphere as much as possible, whether that's through a text message or a phone call. I do like to reach out to for sale by owners. I've actually had quite a few recently. For sale by owners, when I contacted them, it never worked for me. And like my last 2 listings were for sale by owners. So that's been working pretty good. But I always tell people too, to like work on what your strength is. So for me, I don't like cold calling, I don't do it. I don't go door knocking. That's just not what I like to do. But I also know another agent who's great at cold calling, and they get all their deals from that. So it's like finding your strength and going with it. Mine is connecting with people, not only through social media, but just trying to meet up with them in person when I can. So I guess if it's someone who doesn't have social media, it's probably me just making sure that I'm connecting with my sphere, or reaching out, like I said, for sale by owner or whatever. So
I like the fact that you said, find what works for you, because there's so many different ways to do what we do at a high level. And we hear, right, Stephanie, we hear so many different stories on our shows about, the way to have it, to support, create, and expand and grow, global domination in your business, whatever that means for you. And there's some, agents out there, especially newbies, that they're like trying to do too many things.
Right.
And so what would you say to agents like that are, there's like a dabble here, dabble there. I see it all the time. I'm sure Stephanie does too.
Well, and I think it's hard to be great at 6 different things all at the same time, right? I think, and Haleigh, you answer this, but I mean, from watching what Haleigh's done over the course of the last 3 years, it's consistency. Consistency. There's not a day that I'm not going to look at the feed that there she is. Like that, it's the consistency around that I know what Haleigh's up to every moment of the day, because she's showing it to me on social media, and I do watch it, and I like to watch it. And I feel like that's how we stay connected, even though we may not be physically speaking on the phone. But that's one of the ways that we all know, what's going on. So I think there's a lot of people out there that have that personal relationship with her, and she doesn't even know it yet, but that's why they're calling her.
Yeah. And just like you said, consistency. I mean, that's huge. I tell all of my agents who I'm bringing on and helping, and I'm like, you have to stay consistent. You cannot stop because you don't get instant gratification. Because if I would have just quit, like I didn't start getting all these views. You know what I mean? Right. I had to post quite a few videos. I had to do a lot before I even got my first deal at all, even on a team. So I think that the consistency is really key. Like you cannot just give up because you're not seeing results right away.
100%.
And so many people give up right before it's ready to happen. So
Yep.
if you think back, do you remember when you were like, maybe, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Am I moving in the right direction? And
Oh,
is
yeah.
it like pretty soon after there, right when things started to pop for you? I mean,
Yes, yeah. And
people
I
go back
remember
to-
that moment. I remember because I was newly licensed, and I remember it was summer. I was in the backyard with the kids, and I didn't have anything going on. And I remember I was posting about, real estate. I was doing everything that I could, and I was just sitting there thinking, like, what am I doing? Did I make the right choice getting into this? Like, started second guessing myself. That was in the summer, so I'm thinking probably July, and then I sold my first house in August. So, you know what I mean? It's like it happens so quick. And just like you said, I mean, you don't want to just give up because you're not seeing results right away, because it's probably going to happen soon after that. You just have to keep going,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and now that we're in, what we say a shift, I mean, it's a little bit of a shift that's happening. I mean, I think, overall real estate is still booming, even though interest rates are up. Things are shifting. There is going to be more marketing time per listing. And an agent, reached out to me the other day who's been new into the business ever since the hot, you put a sign in the yard and you get 29 offers in the first, hour.
Yep.
And they go, what do I do? And I'm like, open houses.
Yep.
Open houses. Now you have the ability to hold something open. You didn't have that ability before.
Right.
And when I was young, this is my 24th year in the business, but I'm talking back in the very, very beginning of it. There was no Facebook in 1999, right? There was no social media. I don't even think Twitter was out yet. But
Yeah.
so that was what we had to do to stay in the spotlight. Running an ad in the newspaper and saying, come see me at an open house, right? Yeah, exactly. But I always tell people, oh, I've done open houses and, nobody shows up. And you know what? There was probably 300 of those that I did that nobody showed up. And then there's the one that it does happen, because I utilize that time as an audition. Right?
Yeah.
Because those coming in may not want that property, but guess what? I'm on an audition to be their listing agent for whatever they need, as well. And so, I think maybe we'll get back into those times, a little bit too, maybe, who knows, but that along with the social media, all of those things.
Yeah. I just held an open house for one of my listings. I did about 3 of them. And the one, I mean, we probably had 20 people come through, and I picked up buyers, typically, like you said, we weren't doing open houses. There was no need for them. And so, I mean, you have to think those are actually people coming in the door that most of the time, unless they're nosy neighbor, like they're looking to actually buy a house at some point in time. So that's like huge to do open houses. I did do a lot of open houses when I first started too. I forgot about that until you said it. Because I started, I feel like right before it got really crazy. And I was still able to do open houses for other agents when I didn't have listings.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about open houses, because I have some residential agents on my commercial team, like Stephanie and I have a similar business model, but it's not just about showing up at the open house. I make them go out and door knock before the open house with flyers and invite people to come early, the neighbors, and then having the open house, putting out the signs, putting stuff on social media, partnering with a mortgage lender or even a nonprofit, come and drop something off. And then there's the whole after party, the things that you do after the open house as far as follow up. So I agree that a lot of residential agents that came in the business in the last 3 years have no idea necessarily how to hold a successful open house. So you're most likely to get people there so you can debut for everything you've been training for, to talk to them. And so
yes,
I've got something that I learned. I didn't do this. I can't take credit for it, but Dallas, Texas, an agent on one of our calls, Haleigh, when he knows he's getting a listing, he calls all the surrounding neighbors, everybody that touches, that property or that street across the street, within a distance of the house. And he says, listen, just want you to know, I'm going to be putting 123 Main Street on the market. And if you want to be able to help with picking your new neighbor, I'd love for your input.
Yeah,
and he got 3 listings off of it. They go, well, actually, we don't care who buys, but we need to list our house too. Why don't you come on over? And I'm like, oh my God, this was so great. But it was on one of our calls that we plugged into. It was so awesome. He's down in Dallas.
That's something that I wouldn't think to do, but that's something as simple as that, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially if it's on their same street because they know the street name and it means something to them. Yeah, that's a great target. So what else does being an icon agent mean to you besides your production, and getting that cap back in your stock, which is amazing. It's essentially like, having a free brokerage, right? What else does that mean to you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I don't know if you were here for this, Stephanie, because I was watching some of the Gatlinburg retreat, and I don't remember the agent's name, but he was talking about how I think his young daughter needed surgery, and he used all of that stock that he got from eXp to pay for it. And he was very emotional about it because it's something that like a lot of people don't realize how much of an advantage it is to have something like that. I mean, when he was talking about it, like I could feel his passion for eXp coming out because it helped his family in such a dire need, So it's just like, that was amazing. I just saw that the other day. But I mean, just being able to, even have that opportunity is amazing to me. And, I don't know. It just feels good to be able to know that at one point I wasn't sure if I could even, get close to icon. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, we're here, so it's kind of just for me, it's like I did it, and it just kind of gives you something to strive for and work for.
It's it's personal
and it's sitting there in account for you to utilize if you need it, like he needed to, or it's your retirement that just keeps growing, because you got a lot of more years to icon. That's for sure. By the time you're ready to retire, you will have a lot of money.
I hope so.
That was awesome. Well, Haleigh, what is the next thing? If you've it's 2023, we're still, February, very beginning of February. What is anything that you're going to implement in your business this year? Have you thought about or learned about or?
Yeah, I'm trying to, now that I want to start maybe learning farming a little bit better, kind of connecting with my neighborhood. Because before I wasn't in a neighborhood. So now I'm actually in a subdivision, and I'm trying to get newsletters out, sending postcards in the mail with like a QR code. I'm working on all of that. So that is kind of my goal, to kind of venture outside of just my, because my business is all referrals and past clients. I don't, what I mean? I don't pay for leads or anything. I'm utilizing a lot of the free lead sources, or I say free, but you have to pay, like OpCity, 25% referral fee to them. So I'm optimizing those a lot more. So that has been pretty big so far, even starting out the year. So that's what I'm trying to do this year, do a little something else extra and see where it takes me.
Sounds like you're going to be signing up for Bunko, Ladies Night Bunko in your neighborhood. Hey, which works, by the way. I always hated Bunko, but I showed up.
Yeah, it's all about the invite and at least showing up. Like if someone's having a party, a Tupperware party, like show up and buy some, or at least just show up and, so share it with everybody. So.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, I'm
today, Haleigh.
Yeah, and I'm super proud, and everybody pay attention to Haleigh, because it's just amazing what you've done in a short while. And it's because consistency, and you put in the effort. I tell people that all the time. There was nothing that made me the smartest real estate agent ever. It was my effort, my work ethic, and being consistent.
Yep. And that's
That's
how I
all
feel
it
too.
is.
Like I wouldn't, ever say that I know more than any other agent. That's not, you know what I mean? But everybody has their own special set of skills. And just like you said, that's everything that I've utilized to grow my business.
Absolutely.
Well, and you were willing to get out of your comfort zone into that stretch zone, having that fear, getting in front of the camera, doing something different. And a lot of people just don't get over that and they don't move forward, and you did it. And so
yes.
bravo.
And I'm proud of that, because that's something that I've never, my whole life, I am so much I've always felt better in my comfort zone. Most people are, right? Everybody's better in their comfort zone. But I was like, if I want to be bigger and better, I have to step out of it. And I'm so glad that I did, because if I didn't, I'd probably still be on a team, not having listings, not where I am today.
And not having all that stock in your account.
Exactly.
Stock is nice. We don't grow when we're in our comfort zone. There's no way. When we're sitting in the recliner, we don't grow. We have to get out there and stretch and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So thanks for being our guest today, Haleigh.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
That was fun.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.